Hi everyone, welcome back to Bluegrass Mystic Company, and today I thought I would give you a glimpse into real life, in my world anyway. I decided that I was going to go ahead and do some of my spiritual practices with you. I used to do these daily. Here lately I've slacked off, and I need to find a good balance between, running this company and doing my daily spiritual practices, because my guides still want to work with me, So one of the first decks I always pull from is Elena Fairchild's Kali Oracle. And so we're going to see what message Kali wants to give to the collective today. I may read the book some, but I won't read the whole thing, just because in my personal experience, I usually get the gist of the message within the first paragraph if I'm reading for others. So what does Kali want to say to us today? Blue Terra, what a beautiful energy. Number 17, if you like numerology, if that's a confirmation for you. Sweet Mother of Peace now bestows her gifts of clarity, peace, and the power to overcome any negative condition. Just as the beautiful lotus grows from muddied waters, so too shall you arise from confusion, difficult circumstances, and heavy energies into sacred blossoming. If you feel held back or slowed down by your circumstances, remember that your soul has the ability to process all experiences and become stronger, not weaker, through doing so. The oracle indicates healing and a positive prediction for a peaceful future. Wow, that is spot on for the energy I was feeling right before I started this video. It's a little bit challenging right now, I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy to start an entertainment business, and I say entertainment despite the fact that these are my authentic and true spiritual practices, because this is generally considered entertainment for legal purposes. But, it's not easy to get started on social media or any business for that matter, but especially with a market that is so inundated. So, one of the things that is coming to me, and maybe resonating with you as well, is that it's hard to be a one-man show, and we really need to surround ourselves with the people that will help lift us up, and that in all things these circumstances are temporary. And many things, if we keep pushing through, we will reach the other side. But there's also a time when it's time to rest or to put down the wands, let's say. Because sometimes not everything's aligned with us, and sometimes it's hard to let those things go. That's been a lot of my life experience. I just put down Veil of Shadows, number 43 from the Kuan Yin Oracle, also by Elena Fairchild. And it says, a lotus blossoms with deep, rich mud into which she plunges her roots and draws great nourishment. From this mud, made of water and earth, growth happens and great beauty is revealed. Your soul lotus thrives through the depth of emotion and aliveness of your body, into which she can plant herself and unfold as a lotus of light. Wow. I swear, sometimes, even though I've been reading tarot consistently for 2 years now, and almost daily as a spiritual practice, sometimes I still get blown away. When you think about how many cards are in these decks, and the fact that you get 2 cards from 2 different decks that give you a shared message, I just feel like that is statistically impossible. So the nerdy side of me loves that, because that's a confirmation that this isn't just random chance. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, everything on this channel is my personal opinion and belief, but take that where you will. This is the Star Temple Oracle Guidebook, or deck. Let's see what this one says. I usually get a couple of cards out before I start like looking into messages, mostly because I love looking at the artwork, and I love getting double or sometimes triple confirmations, just because early in my practice, and especially when we're reading for ourselves, it is so difficult to use discernment to see the actual message through the message that we want to see. Especially if you're doing a daily spiritual practice, this is what personally helped me see through illusions that I wanted to see into what was actually there. It did still take a while though, and that's why a lot of readers do not read for themselves, but this is part of my almost daily spiritual practice. The ancient grandmother teacher. I am the teacher that leads with self-knowledge. You've got this. Everything you need to know is already inside you. Life has taught you to back yourself. Having confidence and believing in yourself will give you the aptitude to lead yourself in the right direction and offer sound guidance to others. Maya, the eldest sister of the Pleiades and ancient grandmother, supports you in gaining new insights and understandings through your intuitive channels and turning your knowledge into wisdom. Your empathic leadership gently nurtures others to grow and evolve. Thank you, Spirit. That was a very beautiful message, and I am very grateful. So part of the message that is coming to me, and this is continuing to be shared, about my own personal life. Right now, I am living in total chaos because the autism and the ADHD be strong over here. And so what you can't see outside of this scope of things is that my home office is a complete disaster area. I have spent several years organizing this office, and I've got a lot done. But despite all the work I have done, there is yet more to do. And isn't that so true of life? Just when we think we're done, something else pops up. And so I've started coming to terms with the fact that, the chaos in life, or entropy as they like to say, that is always present, and that is never going to go away. That is a law of the universe. Everything that is born will die. Everything that has transformed into one energy will ultimately transform into another. And so what this is teaching me is that, my office may be the mud right now, but through creating this space for my creativity, because almost all of these things, aside from my laptop, are creative project tools, and I have several different types of crafts or art that I like to do. I'm also working on creating tarot and oracle cards, but out of the mud of that, out of the chaos, we shall bloom. This deck, I forgot to tell you what it is. It is called the Radiate Love Path, Growing Our Passion and Purpose by Lel A. Messenger. This is a limited edition deck that I got when I met a person in one of our local businesses, and she spent 2 years making this deck. I'm not sure if there are any more for sale. I haven't actually talked to her in like a year, just because my life chaos, but if anyone is interested in purchasing this deck from her, I can always ask if there are any for sale. Otherwise, you may be able to Google if she has a website. Beheld 9, Confirmation of Harmony. I'm just going to pull one of these just because I recently got a new Metatron self-mastery oracle too. And y'all listen, I have 5 million decks, and a lot of that is because I just love the art. I love seeing people's different perspectives on life and how they convey the messages of spirit, and so I just love collecting decks. So that's a big reason why I need better storage, because I'm basically building my own tarot library over here, and I want those to be displayed and cared for beautifully. All right, the Archangel Metatron Self-Mastery Oracle. We're going to pull from this. And this has already been an amazing deck to work with. I just got it yesterday. Should I have spent the money? No. Am I glad I did? Absolutely. Detach from drama. Look up. Number 37. I'm going to tell you this, because I'm one of those people that used to live in drama. And it wasn't necessarily even my own drama. I was always living in other people's drama. And what's happening is that all the creative potential inside of you, all the wisdom, all the experience that you could be using to further your own life is simply being drained away by, I would call it, vampiric type energy. Because if all we do is keep ourselves stuck in the cycles of talking about each other, or they said this, or he did that, or F my ex, you know, that sort of thing, then we're not looking at what's truly important. And what's truly important is the things we love to do, the people we love, and why we're here. So why are we here? Number 13, Archangel Sandalphon. Sorry, that deck was Angels Among Us. I'm still working on my website. I will be opening private readings soon. I will also be cataloging and listing all the decks I use there, so that you can look at any time at potentially getting these decks for yourselves. So back to Archangel Sandalphon, number 13. Interestingly, the number 13 card in normal tarot is Death. Death is a big card for me. I've gotten the Death card many times because I have had many life transitions and tower moments. And sometimes I think I've been 5 different people throughout my life just because of my changing beliefs and my growth as a person. So the Death card is a very significant card for me. It doesn't just signify death for me, it signifies rebirth as well. Music, I personally love music. It is one of my top loves in life. And answered prayers, Earth Star. One common theme I'm also noticing about these cards is a lot of blue. That signifies throat chakra energy for me. Music is about using your throat chakra. That can be healing to others. Just talking to others can be healing. I was recently watching a video, it was like from the 50s or something, about how humming at your natural humming, like whatever you naturally hum at, whatever tone you hum in, apparently sustained humming helps create nitric oxide within your sinus cavities and helps reduce the bacterial load of bacteria that would cause you to have sinus infections and things like that. So I just thought that was really interesting. Have I validated or verified those facts? No, but honestly, that would not surprise me. I do have a Bachelor of Science with an emphasis on infectious diseases, so there's a lot of things about science that we don't practice in the US, but is practiced in other parts of the world that works very well, and we just cannot get past our conditioning to explore those other possibilities. So I'll leave that there. I'm also seeing a lot of purple, so possibly third eye activation. Is that the third eye or the crown? Sometimes I get those confused. So I saw it as third eye activation. If that purple violet light means crown activation for you, then take that for you. And then right here I'm also seeing all this kind of, not turquoise, it's a specific type of green that's associated with like the higher heart chakra, maybe going into the throat chakra as well. And then a lot of pink too, so a lot of self-love. So it seems like right now what's being asked is that love yourself through the mess, because everybody goes through the mess. You got to go through the mud to get the lotus flower. You got to go through the mud to get a beautiful outcome that you want. I think that's the message there. Let me put these up real quick, and then I will be back with you with another layout that I like to do, usually in the same practice. Oh, while I'm putting these away, something else that was coming to me, the teacher that leads with self-knowledge, the self-mastery oracle. How can we teach something if we don't know it? How can we teach something if we have never experienced it? The most authentic way of teaching others is by sharing your lived experience. And that doesn't mean your experience is the only experience. It just means it is a message that can be learned. And when I was working in corrections, there was so much I thought I knew. I really thought I knew, you know, how people were acting. They were just acting out, you know, because they were bitter at life and everything like that. Or they can make the conscious choice to do this and that. And some of that's true. But the more I learned about mental health and the more I learned about my own mental health, the more I realized that that is a complete fallacy, and that yes, to a certain extent, people do have control over their actions, and yet sometimes people with significant trauma or significant mental illness have no way of knowing what needs to change or why, or having the ability or the safe space to be held in order to change those patterns, because those type of trauma responses are survival mechanisms. Your brain encountered a trauma, and I'm not a therapist. Please don't take my advice as you would a therapist. Please see a therapist. Therapy is the most beautiful gift I've ever given myself, and I'm so grateful I started that journey every single day. Back to what I was saying though, you can't heal in a space where you are constantly getting triggered and you are constantly feeling unsafe. Wow, look at that. Bottom of the deck. The Metatron card, Green Heart Healing, 39. So that plays right into what I was saying. You cannot heal in a place where you are constantly triggered. And so sometimes the only way to heal is to remove yourself from that situation. Be that from family, from friends you thought were friends, and maybe they have a lot of love for you, you have a lot of love for them, but you are not the same people anymore. And so, you know, sometimes we have to make hard decisions to leave people behind, because if those people are not doing the work, they are going to constantly try to bring you back down to their level. Especially if you are in something like recovery for any type of addiction. This is so prevalent. I've seen it over and over again. Like I said, not a therapist, but I have seen people who were doing so well, and then they got their lives together, they decided what they want. Maybe they would always come into the local hospital where I worked, and then when I transitioned to corrections, I would see them there. And then when I transitioned to working for the court system, I even saw them there, even though it had been 10 and 15 years. And that's what breaks my heart about our society, is that we do have the tools and the means to address these issues. But unfortunately, there are too many people who either A, don't know, B, don't care, or C, both. And we talk about how much money we spend on healthcare and all this and all that. We talk about how much money we spend on, at least in the U.S., you know, Medicaid and all this different stuff. And yes, this is getting a little political, so sorry for those of you who don't live in the U.S. But my point is, it's more than a one-person problem. When you see multiple people over a generation go through the same cycles of rotating through ERs, jails, courts, long-term rehabs, they might get out, some people make it. And those are the people that I hope speak up more, because how did you do it? That's what people in the system want to know. How did you do it? Your voice matters. Your experience matters. So when you see those patterns again and again in multiple people, and you understand what their backgrounds were, especially when you went to school with people, or you've seen these people for so long that you just know them by face and name, you can't just say that that is a one-person issue. And that's why I speak so much about my mental health, because as someone who was part of continuing the, stigma. As somebody who was part of continuing the stigma in my past, before I knew what I know now, I just don't believe in remaining silent to save myself from embarrassment after all that I've been through, after all that I've overcome, after all the times that I could have chosen to leave the earth and I decided that there was something worth saving. I just want to help even one person out there to know that your life experience matters. And we've got Freddie Mercury here. He is one of my absolute favorite singers. This man was a man who was himself in a time when the world felt threatened by that. And actually, has that really changed? Some of our most brilliant artists and creators and people like Einstein, things like that, some of our most brilliant people of humanity were the most different from anyone on this earth. And if they had made themselves small, if they had made themselves dumbed down to what society was comfortable with, we would not have the beautiful things we have today. We would not have my favorite karaoke song, Bohemian Rhapsody. We would not have the theory of relativity from Einstein. We would not have Swan Lake by Tchaikovsky, right? Because if you don't know, he was homosexual, and then whenever he made advances to the Tsar's son, they actually forced him to commit suicide. And I may change that word or bleep it out. I forgot. That's not a loud word. Regardless, Tchaikovsky was made to leave this earth by his own hand. Let me put it that way. So I'm just seeing and relaying the patterns I see. I don't know why all this is coming up. Hopefully it touches one person watching this video. But if it doesn't, cool. You know how my brain works. I'm gonna get this Egyptian Lenormand. I love Egyptian stuff. From like the earliest stage I can remember, when I first started learning about world cultures in my like little rural town in Kentucky. One of those first cultures was ancient Egyptian society. I have always absolutely loved ancient Egypt ever since then, and I believe one of my first guides that ever worked with me, before I ever even realized that I wasn't truly a Christian, at least in the way I believe, was Bast. And so I believe she's come back into my life to make herself known. I've always loved cats. So look at you sitting in the garden. The garden is usually about public fame and being acknowledged, but also just look at the imagery on this card, especially since I read intuitively rather than more traditionally. This woman is beside a peaceful pond of water lilies and other beautiful plants. She's sitting next to this cat here, just chilling, meditating. And, you know, when our life surrounds us with chaos and we need to get this energy, we need to be the inspiration for other people. And I'm not saying I need to be the inspiration for other people, but like this man, you know, Freddie Mercury, his songs inspired millions. His songs made millions of people feel seen and heard. And what a beautiful gift it is to be able to give someone that, to help them feel seen and heard and validated in their life experience, especially when everyone else tells you that you're wrong. And that's the thing with empaths. You know, the narcissist and empath, those are two sides of the same coin. They're both created out of trauma, from my understanding. And so the narcissist, you know, their path is more learning about, it's not all about them or whatever. I'm not really on the up and up about the official definition of narcissism, so forgive me. But, you know, it's not all about them. Everything doesn't revolve around them. That's the general consensus that we usually think of. But in a way, empaths can be like the antithesis of that. It's like, oh, woe is me, nobody sees me. You know, that's very much self-victimization. And, you know, many times until we start the healing journey, we don't see that we're our own worst enemy. We don't see that we're our own problem because we won't put in the proper boundaries. An empath that's unhealed is a person without boundaries, and that allows people to take advantage of you, and then you keep wondering why is this always happening to me? Oh, by the way, 2, if that's important for somebody. But the real thing that happens is that people keep taking advantage of us because we keep letting them. And that's not easy to hear sometimes, right? So it's okay. Once you see the pattern, it may still take time to change the pattern. Because just because we see something doesn't mean we're automatically going to stop our behaviors. But recognizing that something is a problem is the first step in changing that problem. So I'm going to read this Egyptian Sacred Animals Oracle deck, the Scorpion. If you are Scorpio, that could be important to you. I have a Scorpio stellium and a Scorpio south node of the moon. For me, south node means that's my most recent past life. Those were the lessons I am overcoming. So here it is, Scorpion, duality, and cure. The Scorpion is a symbol of protection and healing, mainly associated with Serket, goddess of magic, medicine, and a cure from the stings of poisonous animals and insects. The Scorpion also symbolizes the power of life and death, the ability to control both aspects. You must cross the threshold to reach new life. Right now, you have a choice, poison or antidote. Recognize and accept your dual nature, both benign and malignant. Learn to control your poisonous side, leaving room for the part of you that can heal. Embrace change with awareness, as it can lead to personal and spiritual growth. That's actually blowing my mind, because I was literally talking to one of my friends earlier today about how we are dual in nature. I do not subscribe to false positivity, or at least I don't try to. Oh, apparently I'm doing a charm reading. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Anyway, I personally don't subscribe to false positivity. Like, look, I'm sitting here in my pajamas, okay? It was all I could do to get up and get going today. I have PMDD, and that's called premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And if you know, you know. And if you don't, you might want to know, especially for supporting the females in your life. But that being said, you know, there's periods of time where I struggle to even get out of bed. Right now, like, this office is a mess. My sink is full of dishes. I probably could stand a pickup, but you know what? I just don't have the energy. And you know what? That's okay. Because I'll have that energy another day and it'll get done. But part of the reason it's like that is because I keep packing on too much stuff and I keep failing to set my own boundaries, even though I need to do it. So that's what I'm going to be working on this week is setting better boundaries, because I can't keep giving my time and energy away to people, even though I love them, if I am trying to build this company, right? Because I can't do all the things at once. And that's the same thing too. I am, you know, working on building this company. It takes a lot of time to build the readings. It takes a lot of time to edit the readings. And also, I want to make tarot and oracle decks. I want to make other merchandise and things like that, because I want to express my creativity in other ways. And it's like, sometimes it's hard for me to just wait and do one thing at a time. So, well, it's actually not sometimes, it's all the time. So I'll start 5 million projects at once, as we Libras do. And then guess what? Those 5 million projects often go unfinished because we spread our energy so thin. And, you know, not only being a Libra, but also being autistic and having ADHD. That is just exemplified, okay? Okay, so what I'm seeing here with the charms that I ended up pulling was a little lucky cat. Looks like a lucky cat to me. The Hamsa hand, and a very beautiful design at that. A flamingo, and then a, I guess, Bronchiosaurus, or a long-necked dinosaur. Ooh, I just had a memory, the long-necked dinosaur, about Land Before Time. I'll come back to that. I'm seeing really good energy overall. I'm seeing protection over our goals, mine included. I'm seeing that flamingo as, like, the flamingo is that vibrant, bright pink, and they're just doing their thing, man. They don't care about anybody else's opinion about if they're pink or not. Just like Freddie Mercury didn't care about how outlandish people thought his operatic rock was. So, listen, we just got to be our own little flamingos here. And then the lucky cat, I always see cats as a couple of things. Bast, so that's given me protective energy from Bast. Lucky cat is also a big symbol in Asia. I have a Japanese family member, and so I always feel love and warmth from, like, I guess their ancestors. I'm not really sure who, but when I think of them, I just feel a lot of love and warmth. And then the fact that it's a lucky cat, because who couldn't use a little bit more good luck? And then also, back to the Land Before Time. Land Before Time that suddenly came to mind with this, that represents a very beautiful and vulnerable movie about childhood loss. And if you've never seen that, because maybe you were maybe you were born too late for that movie to be popular, maybe try to find that, especially the first one. And trust me, it's going to rip your heart to shreds. But as tough as the beginning is, it's also a very, very beautiful movie about coming of age after the loss of a parent as a young child, and finding community. And if you haven't watched that, or maybe it's time to rewatch that, I might do that. I think this is a call to help heal some inner child wounds that may be sticking out. All right, so now, let's see. I'm finally going to pull from some actual tarot. Let's see what deck I feel called to use. And if you see any like skips, it's just because I, went ahead and cut out those unnecessary moments about, me just putting away boxes and things like that. I don't know about you, but the ADHD be strong, as I said, so something I'll do is skip ahead if something's not resonating with me. Or even, I tend to put the speed of tarot videos on like 2.0 and then I can really pay attention because like it's going at a speed that my brain is processing at. So hopefully that helps somebody, because it might be hard if you are really resonating with a message, but you're just feeling so impatient. So that's a way I get through those feelings, to still get the messages I want to hear and need to hear, but like how you can honor yourself and your needs too. I'm feeling called to do the mermaid deck today. All right. Let me do some little shuffles, just because I don't think I truly shuffled since the last time I used this. I'm still shuffling, not accepting any cards right now. All right, so for our guides, could you please tap me into this collective energy that's watching? Please give us the messages for their highest and best good. Please only allow those who are the most qualified and here for everyone's highest and best good to answer the question, what is the general reading for this collective today? Okay. Now I'm accepting cards. The Star, wow. Page of Wands. Hopefully you can see those. I'm still dealing with figuring out the best angles to film without so much glare. There's some things you can't fix in post. All right. Ooh, wow. Knight of Wands. That's interesting. Two of Pentacles. Wow. 10 of Pentacles. 7 of Wands. 9 of Swords. King of Pentacles. And I don't always do specific layouts. Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the Celtic Cross by heart. I just pull how I feel led to pull. All right, let's go ahead and clarify 2 of Pentacles, please. The Emperor, wow. 10 of Pentacles, can you please clarify that? Okay, what's that? Queen of Cups, okay. Wow. Let me see where I can set this, that y'all can see it. Death, that's the bottom of the deck. So that is the, in my style of reading, that is the subconscious energy, or the energy that is not playing out on the surface. That's how I read that. And sometimes I'll go ahead and pull a whole story, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. So the Star, it's interesting that you're coming out as the Star, because the Star has been through this whole process of healing, and now they're coming out as that bright and shining one. They're coming out as the person who is, you know, the natural leader, the one who's living in their authenticity, and because of that, you are healing others. And I'm seeing this like the Sandalphon card earlier. music, like the conch shell is used to play music in certain cultures. And I think that's super beautiful that it is reflected here. And look, it's going up into the cosmos. So it's like that saying. I don't know if everyone has heard that whole saying. It's often taken as a Wiccan saying, but it's not truly, I don't think it's truly a Wiccan thing at all. It's just a universal consciousness. But it says, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. And I didn't know that last line until about a year and a half ago, maybe. And it, for some reason, just like blew my mind, because it just so strongly resonated with me. Page of Wands. I'm getting a new creative idea coming through, tapping into that inner child energy. I don't feel like this is someone's child. I feel like this is your inner child, or my inner child, possibly. And then, but we started this journey that's a creative journey, but we're at the Nine of Wands. We've started picking up other people's karma and carrying the load. But in this case, it looks like he's putting down an unlit wand. Is he lighting the wands? That's interesting. Is this person lighting the wand of our inner child, the creativity and things like that? Why is the Nine of Wands here in this reading? I am auditorily hearing it's okay to put things back. So that's kind of like a semblance of, let me give you an example from today. Today I wanted to go hang out with my friends. I love them so dearly, and I committed to going to something like after one of my friends would get off work. And then about 30 minutes later, my energy just wiped out. So as much as I wanted to go, I had to comment and say, I'm so sorry, I've overcommitted myself. And so in that way, I kind of put the wand back. I put the burden back. I put that fear of missing out back, because I didn't need to carry it. That's what I'm sensing here. And then that kind of leads into the Two of Pentacles, learning better balance in our life. It could be about money. Yes, money is just energy, just like everything else. We're just condensed energy. There's a balancing act. And in order for you to be fertile, because I see the rabbit as fertile energy, the fish leaping from the stream, I see that as fertile energy. And high vibrational energy, because it takes a lot of energy for a fish to leap out of the water. I'm seeing that you are starting to do this process, the balancing act. And because of that, this is going to lead to the Ten of Pentacles. So Ten of Pentacles is about building your legacy, building your earthly abundance, building your spiritual abundance. The thing about legacy, though, is that legacy isn't always about money. Sometimes your legacy is about who you are to others and who you leave behind when we leave this earth. It's about that kind of legacy too. So maybe something that you need to decide as a person having a human experience is, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? As somebody who's lost a lot of people to death, that is a question I've often asked myself. What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? And that is a choice for each of us. What's the Seven of Wands about? So defending yourself. But here's the thing about defending ourselves. We don't always have to fight to defend ourselves. Sometimes all we have to do to defend ourselves is be who we authentically are. I know something came out earlier. I can't remember what card it was, about like chaos and drama. Yeah, the Metatron card. So just because people want to involve us in their messy business and involve us in the chaos and drama, it doesn't mean that we have to play into it, right? Because the people who want to see you for who you are will, and the people who want to talk about you are really just reflecting on the shadows within themselves. And I've been on both sides of this, as have we all. And I can see that this Nine of Swords here, it's caused you anxiety. Oh, interesting. Nine of Wands, Nine of Swords. So 9-9. That speaks to the completion, or the near completion of cycles. And, you know, this person is sitting here in a tent crying. They've got Nine of Swords. And then, I don't know what they're crying about. I don't feel like it's this person in the water. This person in the water feels sickly. And honestly, sometimes that's the energy people are putting out, truly, when they're gossiping or whenever they're speaking ill over others. Because what they're really saying is, this is what I don't like about myself. And again, I have been on both sides of this. So that's why I say, with confidence and strength, when we talk about others, not only are we speaking ill over people, but we are just reflecting what we don't like about ourselves. So there is a healing lesson there if you're on that side of things. But if you're on the other side of things, all you have to do is stand in your authenticity. When your words match your actions, your entire being speaks for itself. Okay? You don't have to over-explain. You don't have to like constantly defend yourself, because even if you do that, the people who don't want to see you won't see you. And the people who do want to see you will see you. So stop wasting your energy on the people that don't want to see you for who you are anyway, and just focus your energy on becoming the King of Pentacles, the person who knows what he's about, the person who knows what he wants in life, the person who knows that it's okay as a masculine, a gender masculine, to step into your feminine energy, because we all need to balance our masculine doer energy with our feminine nurturing receiving energy. And as a female, knowing when, you know, we can't always be in our feminine energy. Some of us females, especially females that might have always have men around to do things for them, you might need to step more into your masculine energy, because nobody is coming to white knight you. Even if they appear as a white knight, at some point they will let you down. You know why? Because they are also human. So I just want to encourage, whether you're female or male, start working on balancing out your masculine and feminine if you have not already started that work. And if you are already starting that work, great job. And this is just a message to continue to do that. Because whenever you balance your masculine and feminine, whenever you start healing the things that trigger you, what triggers you is the thing to be focused on for healing. Because if something triggers you enough that you're acting outside of your normal self, that is a thing that needs to be looked at for healing. And that's why therapy is important. So when you do this, you step into your Emperor energy. And then also, it looks like once you've reached that Emperor energy and you've become like the overseer of your domain, and you are confident in what you want, who you are, and where you're going, then you will also be embodying the Queen of Cups, because the Emperor is about embodying all the kings in the deck, And the Empress is about embodying all the queens in the deck, but you cannot get to the Emperor without first being the Empress. You cannot get to a king without first being a queen. So I encourage everyone watching this message to balance their masculine and feminine energies, and to know that it's okay to nurture yourself. It's okay to cry. I don't care if you're masculine or feminine. It's okay to cry. You know why? Because it releases cortisol when you cry. It releases other stress hormones. And when you don't release those stress hormones, guess what? They build up in your body and they manifest as immunological illnesses, psychosomatic illnesses, and things like that. So if you need to hold on until you can get to a safe space where you're private and cry, that's fine. One of my aunts gave me a great tip one time. She said when she needed to do it, one thing she would do is go in a safe where she felt safe in her home, set a timer for 30 minutes and cried out. And then after that timer went off, then she was done and she got up and got back to doing what she needed to do. I personally don't know if that fits everyone, but maybe it's worth trying because it was coming to mind. It's a good way to release energy, and it's a good way to hold yourself accountable and get back up after you've had a really emotional event, and get back going, because that's the thing that's so important, right? Is that we get back up. True failure only happens when you stop getting up. And that's going to be the final message for this reading. Thank you so much for being here, especially if you've stuck with me to the end. And I hope that my messages help. And hopefully soon I can get my life together, and I will be trying to do some pick-a-card readings, and I will also be open for bookings. Thank you so much for watching. Dang it. What did I do with that little clicker? Oh my gosh.